Hello, everybody. Welcome to my live today. The subject I want to start before I answer any questions is the EB-5 visa and what all is required, just a basic general overview. And then once I get, that and explain it, I'll be happy to answer any of the questions. So you can go ahead and put your questions in right now, and I'll just scroll back, once I'm done letting you know. So the EB-5, what is that? And why do people want it? Well, it's known as the investment visa, okay? The EB-5. So if you have, $1 million, give or take, sitting around, and you want to come to the U.S., then this is your visa. The problem is, unlike many other countries where it's way, way, way easier, is that when you have, $1 million to invest in a company or to invest in your own business, and you come to the U.S. and you do the petition, there are lots of different requirements, okay? The various requirements have been made more difficult over the years. So where people think that all you do is plop $1 million and 3 days later you have the green card, it doesn't work like that. You have to understand that the people at USCIS who are adjudicating the petition for the EB-5, they do not care that you have $1 million. They have no incentive to grant it if you don't qualify. And in fact, they don't get paid 1 penny more if they approve it versus deny it, okay? I mean, there's no corruption, collaboration, anything like that. The bottom line is if you do an EB-5 petition, you have to qualify, okay? So it's a lot more than just having the $1 million. And it's actually, again, a bit more than $1 million now, but there's two different ways in which to apply for the EB-5. Okay, one is your own business. Okay, you either buy one that's already in operation or you make one. That's great. Okay, that's for the true entrepreneurs. And again, it's like 1.3 million, and you have to show that you have properly invested, that within 2 years you're going to get at least 10 U.S. citizen, lawful permanent resident, or whoever is legally authorized to work full-time employees, okay? So that's one way. And that's the harder way, to be honest with you. They have another particular path that you can go, and it's called regional centers, okay? What does that mean? Well, a regional center is essentially, just think of it like a cluster, like a group, like a location, okay, where it has been approved by immigration to invest people's monies in order to make basically a really good real estate section in that particular area. So let's take, for example, LA Live. If any of you know around LA Live, it is a humming place. I mean, there are lots of different things to do, lots of places to go. And over the last several years, there's been lots of high-rise condominiums that have gone up right by it. So it's a beautiful place, and you want to come and rent a condo or buy one there, that's your place. If you like living right, in like downtown LA. The reason I bring that up is that section right there, one of the sections right there, is considered to be a regional center. It's an approved regional center. So a ton of money, I mean billions of dollars of money that has gone into that has come from EB-5 investors, okay? So a regional center will be able to pool the money from multiple investors in order to do what they need. So let's say they're going to build a 50-story condo, and it's going to be high tech, beautiful, everything. And let's say it's going to cost $800 million in which to do it, okay? If it's going to cost that much, 800 million, then they can search for people who are EB-5 investors who want to get the green card, who will basically give the money to do that, okay? And it's not as much as a normal where you invest in your own business. I mean, it's not a whole lot less, but it's not the same. It's like 800,000 now. So $800,000, you invest in a regional center. You do not have any say in what they do. You can't say, well, no, I want the condos to be, pink, not green. You can't do that. You're basically considered a silent investor. Okay, you're like on the board, but you really can't give any authorization to say or not say anything. And it's assumed with a regional center that 10 employees will be employed. Okay, so it's easier to get a regional center to get there than the invest in your own business. Okay, that's just the bottom line. So the next question people always ask when they come to me is they go, okay, well, what regional center do you recommend? Well, it doesn't work like that. Okay, you need to do the research on what you want to do, and you might get your money back, you might not get your money back, it might grow, it might not grow. So, I mean, I, as the attorney, can send a list of several regional centers that, for example, have tons of, EB-5 investors that have done really well, okay, over the years. That's a good indication. If you find a company, a regional center, wherever it happens to be, and the records show they have 50, EB-5 investors, and that they have been in business for the last 10 years, that's a good sign. Okay, you obviously you wouldn't want to go with a company that just started, that it's unsure if it's going to work and whatever. Okay, but just to get the authorization from immigration to be a regional center, they have to show tons of stuff. So if you're going to take a risk, going with the regional center is a pretty good idea. Okay, so when you go either way, your own investment or the regional center, then what happens is you get the EB-5 filed, and then what will happen is immigration will adjudicate it, okay? And I can tell you with 99.99% of the time, you'll get what's called an RFE, which is a request for evidence, and it's a very detailed one, okay? They will send a thing with like 12 pages saying, we need to see more of this, we need an explanation of that, and so forth. So, your lawyer needs to be ready to answer all that. And then assuming it's approved, okay, it still doesn't mean you get the green card right away. It depends what country you're from, because there are EB-5s from different countries that are backlogged. Believe it or not, it's backlogged because there's too many people that have invested in those countries, okay? And we're talking primarily China, India, okay, those countries. Those are the EB-5s that are generally backlogged. So if you are from an EB-5 country that's backlogged, then you need to wait for the visa number to become current, which takes time. And then once it becomes current, you can apply for consulate processing, or if you're here in the US, you can ultimately apply to adjust status. So then what happens? You get a conditional green card. Okay, after all this, after spending all this money and doing all this work and doing all the analysis, you still don't get the permanent green card. Okay, if it's all approved, you get a conditional green card. Okay, that means that after 2 years, and technically 1 year, 9 months to 2 years, you file a petition to remove the conditional residency. And what happens from there is the petition to remove the conditional residency will, if it's approved, show that, one, the investment was real, you weren't pretending, you didn't, say you were going to invest $1 million or whatever it was, invest it and then go lie on the beach all day, that the business is actually running. And then if that's approved, then the condition is removed and you are given the permanent green card. And by permanent, I mean 10 years. Nobody gets more than 10 years. It all needs to be renewed. So that's how it works. And then after all that's done, if your investment is still doing well, you'll eventually be able to get the money back. Okay, although you might not. You might get a portion of it back. It really all depends. And then from there, your dependents can also apply for residency, meaning spouse and unmarried children under 21. And then you'll be able to obtain lawful permanent residency there. So anyone who thinks that the EB-5 is a piece of cake, no problem, just plop $1 million down is wrong. It's the exact opposite. But if that's what you want to do, and that's the petition you go on, then the EB-5 is for you. Okay, so that's how that works. All right, so let me scroll back down here and see if we have any questions. Just a second, this just take me a minute. Okay, just a minute. I am going here just a second. And again, anyone who wants to ask questions, just go ahead. By the way, the Biden executive order, they're going to start taking petitions come August 19th. That is right around the corner, okay? So you need to, if you qualify, you need to make sure you have that petition ready to rock and roll and that you can go forward, okay? Because who knows what's going to happen with that, and who knows when it may be revoked, or lawsuits may come up and so forth, okay? So just make sure that you go forward with that. And then just as an aside, for those who are ultimately thinking of applying for the EB-5, you can come here on the U.S. on a different type of visa while you're waiting. So a lot of people, if they qualify, they come on an E2, which is a non-immigrant visa. And then from there, they are able to wait and wait and wait until it goes forward. All right, so how long does a work permit take based on a U visa? All right, well, the U visa, as you know, there's only 10,000 per year. And it's a sad state that, people who get U visas are victims of crime. There's 10,000 per year, and honestly, it is now backlogged about 10 years, okay? It has backlogged a long, long time. So when you're applying for the U visa, if you have shown a bona fide application that you qualify and all that, then generally you'll be able to get the work permit based upon the U if you apply for it within around 6 months to a year, give or take. All right. And that may seem like a long time to you, but for U visa and for immigration purposes, that really isn't that long. Now, I also have to say that a lot of people who are victims of crime, who apply for the U visa, who wait all of those years, they may also qualify for the T visa, and they don't even know about it. No, a lot of people haven't even heard of the T visa, and there's no backlog, okay? And you don't need certification from, a governmental entity before you file it. So what is the T visa? It's when you're a victim of trafficking, okay? And trafficking can be defined either as sex trafficking or work, trafficking in work. And there's definitions of how trafficking is done. But if you are a victim of, either the domestic violence or sex, related, you might look into the T visa. That might be the way to go, okay? All right, so the next question, can I do AOS? Well, AOS is adjustment of status, and asking if you can do it without any other facts, I have no idea, okay? It depends on a lot of different things. For example, how did you enter the country? And are you being petitioned by an employer, by, family? I have no idea. I need more facts. So once I would have the facts, I'd be able to let you know if you can adjust, and if you can't adjust, if you have to consular process. Okay, I am 19 and have an approved I-130 from resident parents. I have legal entry. Oh, sorry, this is the same one. I see. I'm going backwards. Can you do an AOS? Okay, so the question would be whether you qualify for adjustment. Now, assuming the visa number is current, then and you have legal entry and TPS, it does depend jurisdictionally where you are. Some consider that to be, a legal entry. So you may be able to adjust. Okay, it will depend on jurisdictionally where you are. I would need to know that in order to know for sure. But you are going to age out soon. You are 19. You will age out at 21. Don't wait, because once you become 21, things will become tons more difficult for you. And you're going to fall under a different status. You're no longer going to be considered what's called an immediate relative. And from your point of view, you may think there's a long time between 19 and 21, but there is not. Trust me. Okay. You need to get moving on it. Okay. So let's see if we have any more before I head off today. Okay, if I start the EB-5 process today, how long do you think it will take to get a green card? That's a good question, and it's a long time. Okay, the non-legal answer is a long time, but it depends what country you're from. Again, if you are from a country that has a backlog of the EB-5, it's going to take a lot longer. Like, for example, China, it's going to take years. Okay, but let's say you're from some country other than that. Let's say you're from France. Okay, there's no backlog there, so that's just a matter of processing. So the EB-5, once you start, it takes a while to prepare it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, to prepare a good EB-5 and everything necessary, you're looking at about 6 months just to prepare everything. Then once it's filed, add another year for processing, because once you file it and once they process it, it's going to take a long time to go from there in order to adjudicate it. And let's say it gets approved. Then you get approved, and then you do the adjustment after that. That takes another year. And if you're outside the U.S., that's consulate processing. So either way, it'll take another year. And then from there, you get the conditional green card. So if everything goes smooth and there's no backlog, the conditional green card you'll have in about 3 to 4 years. And then the permanent green card, if everything goes well, you add another 2-3 years to that. Okay, so when I say a long time, I mean a long time. Okay, so that's how that works. Alrighty, let's see if we have any others before I just head off. Okay, by the way, if any of you want any consultations, I have lots of links. Just you can call my office, and I give on 2 or 3 days a week the consultations. Okay, well, that will conclude it for today. So I hope everybody's enjoyed this live. I'll come on next week. We'll talk about more. If any of you want a live on any particular kind of subject where I go into more detail in the beginning, as you can see, before I start answering questions, I'm happy to do that. Just tell me what you want. And then as the weeks go on, I'll get to that. Okay? All right, well, everybody have a good day and enjoy the rest of your week.